Saturday, May 18th. Continued. The night should have been over then, but it wasn't. As I passed the desk, the clerk stopped me to deliver a message, neatly sealed in an envelope. Someone more experienced might have shoved it in a pocket and forgotten about it, but I'm not used to receiving messages at hotels. I ripped it open and read, "Jared, call me immediately on receiving this message, day or night. Immediately. Bernard Loufre." I crumpled it into a ball and shoved it into my pocket. As I turned to resume my journey towards the elevators, the clerk said, "He was very insistent, sir." I turned back and was surprised to see that it was the same clerk who had been wounded by my wondering if the hotel had a fax machine. Possibly he was a cyborg, tireless and efficient. "Very insistent, was he?" I asked. "Very insistent, sir." "I'd like a bottle of whiskey in my room." A tiny frown line appeared in the middle of his forehead. "I'm afraid the bar is closed, sir." "I don't want a bar. I want some whiskey in my room. Half a liter or however you bottle it over here." I shoved 100 marks at him and walked away. Was I going to call Bernard Loufre in this state of mind? It really made no sense, but I wanted to have a drink, go to sleep, and wake up without this hanging over me. So I placed the call. Father Loufre himself answered the phone. "Jared," he said. "It must be the middle of the night over there." "It is, yes." "What's going on? Bring me up to date." "I've attended 2 of B's lectures, and I've..." "2 of whose lectures?" "B's. He's not known as Adderley over here. To the public, he's known as B." "B as in boy?" "B as in blasphemer." "I see." "You've attended 2 of his lectures, and I've spent an hour talking to him." "Really? As what? A fan? A follower?" "Yes, possibly," I replied vaguely. "And what's your impression?" "That he's very bright, completely sincere." "Not your impression of him, your impression of what he's saying." I was too tired to think about this. "I don't know. It seems harmless enough." "Harmless? That can't be right." I shrugged at him over 4,000 miles of cable. "Have you been taping him?" "That's not practical. Unless he was wearing a mic, I'd just get crowd noise." "Have you been taking notes at least?" "Better than that," I snapped. "I have it down verbatim, in shorthand. Didn't you get my fax?" "I haven't been down to my office today. Is it all there?" "Just the first lecture. I'll have to make a longhand copy of the second one. That'll take a few hours." "It's not some exotic personal shorthand, is it?" "No. Just ordinary speed writing." "Then my secretary can figure it out. Go ahead and fax it." I started to object on the grounds that the notebook would have to be photocopied first, since it couldn't be faxed directly, but quickly realized I was just being childish. Resigning myself to the inevitable, I went downstairs and got it done. A bottle of Cutty Sark was waiting for me in my room when I got back. I started drinking and I started writing. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I do know this diary is going to be useless if I don't keep it current as I go along. Brought it up to the present just in time to close the drapes against the rising sun. Hope I remember to put out the disturb and verboten sign before crashing. Dangerous questions. The fax machine in this joint runs round the clock, but lunch is only served till 2, and I barely manage to get seated. It's now 2:47. I suppose I note the time as a means of procrastination. I don't want to think, I don't want to write, so I make careful records of the time. It's 2:50 and I wonder what's wrong with me. It's 2:52 and I think my life is falling apart. Falling apart under what stress? I can't quite figure it out. Or I don't quite want to figure it out. Certainly the largest part is B, but I can't figure out why. I'm extremely reluctant to reread his lectures. His message is like a shadowy figure standing at my shoulder. I can catch it out of the corner of my eye, and it troubles me because I can't see it clearly. I know I could turn around and face it directly, but as I say, I'm reluctant to do that. I told Father Lufra that B's teachings are harmless. What did I mean by that? I think it was something like this. B is harmless because he's just calling into question the entire foundation of Christianity, not to mention Judaism, Islam, and Buddhism. No harm in that, is there? No harm at all, Father Lufra, because you taught me yourself that no question is dangerous, for us. We've got all the answers, so ask away. We can answer anything, absolutely anything. For us, questions aren't hazards. Questions are opportunities. Isn't that right, Father Lufra? So what's your problem, Father Lufra? On the phone I said to you, B's teachings are harmless, and you said in reply, that can't be right. What? What does this mean, Father Lufra? Does it mean that some questions are dangerous after all? The Good Soldier Jared. The fact that I find anything here to be disturbed about disturbs me. I shouldn't be disturbed at all. I mean, I'm a good soldier, aren't I? Smart as hell, but basically a simple, uncomplicated kind of guy. What's the name of the tormented preacher in the Scarlet Letter? Dimsdale? I'm no Arthur Dimsdale, not by a million miles. I'm no tormented anything. You want me to spy on some guy who's being talked about as the Antichrist? Sure, why the hell not? Where's my plane ticket? What's the limit on my credit card? Hey, that's why the great minds of the Laurentians chose me, isn't it? They wanted someone bright, controllable, and loyal. Not necessarily strong in faith, but maybe just a bit weak in imagination. The joke is, however, and it really is a terrific joke, that because I'm just a good soldier, simple and uncomplicated, I listen to the guy I'm supposed to be spying on. And having listened, I say, yeah, I see what he's saying. This is something new. This is something really new. This guy is making sense. He's making as much sense as I've ever heard anybody make. What's the problem? Then the guy takes me aside and says, then the guy leads me halfway across the city on foot and says, then the guy buys me 16-year-old scotch and says, there are some teachings that only exceptional students can handle. I hope to lay some of those teachings on you. I think maybe the great minds of the Laurentians should have found themselves a soldier who was not quite so good, or perhaps much better. Of course, I'm not quite sure where I stand with B at this point. Looking back on it now, I see that I was a lot more upset by Sheeran's revelation than he was. The truth is, I was just projecting. Having been found out, I took it for granted that he'd be disgusted or disappointed. In fact, he was neither. He was amused. Okay, I'm still not sure where I stand with him, but I don't think I'm exactly in the trash heap. I didn't come off looking brilliant, but I'm pretty sure I didn't come off looking like scum.